新宿の上空に来ています。昨年4月、この新宿から吉祥寺に帰る途中のサラリーマンが行方不明になった事件は、井の頭公園のゴミ箱の中からなんと
What kind of person can take a life and cut it into pieces with surgical precision, then vanish into the city's silence, leaving behind no blood, no name, no face? This isn't fiction. It happened. In a quiet Tokyo park one morning in 1994, the first trash bag was opened, and reality became a nightmare. What you're about to hear is not just an unsolved crime. It's a mystery carved into history, still waiting for an answer. It began like any other dawn, quiet. Still, the sky above Inokashira Park gently blushing with light. But what lay beneath the cherry trees that morning would forever stain Tokyo's memory. A janitor just starting his rounds noticed something strange. Dozens of plastic bags piled neatly near a bench. He thought it was trash, until he saw fingers, human, pale, lifeless. Each bag was tied perfectly, no blood, no mess. As if someone had taken care, not to clean up a murder, but to arrange a message in flesh. The officers arrived in silence, unsure whether they stood at a crime scene or an altar. In the early light, the limbs looked almost peaceful, like dolls, not a man. He was a man once, 35 years old. His name was S. He worked hard, kept to himself. The kind of man you'd pass 100 times and never notice. But someone had noticed him, watched him, followed him, and when the time came, ended him, methodically, deliberately, without leaving a drop of blood behind. He hadn't screamed, not once. No neighbors heard a thing. No one saw blood, only the bags, lined in quiet rows like offerings to some silent god. The head was missing, the torso too, as if the killer had taken the parts that mattered most and left the rest behind, just enough for him to be found. There were no fingerprints, no footprints, no DNA. The bags were washed, dried, handled with gloves. This wasn't an accident or a panic. It was a ritual, a performance. There was no blood in the park, none in the grass, none in the bags. As if his body had been drained elsewhere, his final hours scrubbed clean from the world. He had nothing on him. No wallet, no watch, no name. Stripped of identity, he became a symbol, a body without a story. A man erased before he could be mourned. The missing torso, the missing head, those pieces weren't just absent. They were stolen, taken deliberately as if the killer couldn't bear to part with all of him. News cameras swarmed the scene. Families stared at the TV, wondering if they knew the man in the bags, wondering if it could have been their brother. Their son, the surgeons who examined the remains, were shaken. These weren't amateur cuts. They were anatomical, unnervingly clinical, like someone had studied him and wanted to be perfect. But he hadn't seen a doctor in years. He was healthy, ordinary, just a man trying to live quietly in a city too loud for grief. Friends described him as gentle, distant maybe, but kind. He didn't argue. He didn't complain. He just existed until someone decided that wasn't enough. The profile said the killer was detached, careful, someone who didn't see a human being, only a project, a puzzle to take apart and hide in plain sight. Weeks passed. The flowers bloomed. The city exhaled. But the benches near the pond stayed empty, as if the trees remembered what we tried to forget. Then one day, the phone rang. A voice claimed to know the truth. No name, no details. Just this: "You found the wrong man." The line went dead. Police followed every lead. Former co-workers, quiet neighbors, distant relatives. No one knew who hated him, because no one ever really knew him at all. His apartment was untouched. Slippers by the door, tea gone cold. A jacket still hanging, waiting for a man who would never come home again. There was no forced entry, no signs of violence, just silence. And one thing missing: his bedding. As if the killer had wrapped him in his own comfort to take him away. Neighbors remembered something strange. That night, a smell. Not decay, not rot, but disinfectant. Sharp, bleached clean, like a hospital trying to erase what it couldn't heal. And still, every few nights, a faint shape would appear near the pond. Someone standing alone, watching, motionless, then gone. Was it guilt that returned to the scene? Or pride? Did the killer come back to feel close to what they made? Or to see if we were still afraid? The forensic sketches were released, dozens of them, but no one matched. Every face blurred together, until his became everyone. Eventually, the case was shelved, the evidence boxed. The bench in the park was replaced. But the stain beneath it, some say, it never really left. Years passed, names changed, faces aged. But in the shadows of Inokashira, time never moved, it only whispered. Couples now walk the pond's edge, unaware their laughter echoes where death once sat watching. The trees know, the ground remembers. One woman says she saw him. Not the victim, the one who left him behind. She said his hands didn't look real, too clean, too smooth. Local legends grew. People started calling it the precision killer. A ghost of Tokyo's forgotten rage, unfeeling, meticulous, patient. And yet nothing about the case ever added up. No motive, no enemies, just silence, stitched tight like the seams of those plastic bags. One investigator never let it go. Even in retirement, he walks that path by the pond, not looking for clues, just listening. He says some places don't move on. They trap sorrow like roots trap water, quietly, invisibly, until the ground itself feels heavy with memory. And when the wind blows just right, he swears he can hear it. The soft crinkle of plastic dragging slowly through the dirt. Locals speak of a sound, plastic dragged along gravel. Slow, measured. A noise no wind should carry, but sometimes does. At dawn, garbage lids slam without a hand. Pigeons scatter. And somewhere nearby, a tree creaks like it's holding its breath. The park workers don't go alone anymore. Some say the bags return. Not always visible, but felt. As if the weight of them never left. One man quit after seeing a hand twitch inside a sack. When he opened it, there was only trash. But the fingers he swore he saw were his own. Now they call it the Park of Precision. Not because of what was found, but because of what was taken. Peace, identity, understanding. Some whisper that the killer was never human. That something older wore a man's skin that night. Something that doesn't forget once it chooses you. Others believe the pond is cursed. A still mirror that reflects not faces, but what we try hardest to hide in ourselves. The man's head was never found, nor his heart. As if those pieces weren't thrown away, but kept. Like trophies or secrets. There's no monument, no plaque. Just petals that fall each spring, soft, white, and heavy with what we pretend isn't there. And still, every year, someone leaves lilies by the pond. No note, no witness, only silence. And a grief that walks without a face.